Well, hello there, it's your girl Duchess Charm and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If this is the first time seeing my face or knowing of my existence, please feel free to stick around and click that subscribe button. Happy Monday! And if you don't know why I'm so hyped about Mondays, because it's Crime and Conviction Day, a series on my channel where I speak about Jamaican true crime. If it is your first time here, hello, and this is your cup of tea, please check out the Crime and Conviction playlist on my channel. So, hello family. Today we will be talking about the Green Bay Massacre. So without further ado, let us jump right into it. Intro. So why I decided to do something like this, which is the Green Bay Massacre, is because it is true crime, but it's not a person per se. But it did happen, and I'm surprised that not much persons know about this. This is probably going to be a short one, so we're gonna jump right into it. And I know that history class is on Wednesday, but crime and conviction is on Monday, so we're gonna teach the children, okay? The Green Bay Massacre is considered one of the darkest and most controversial days in Jamaican history. On January 5th, 1978, during the dark political era, 10 men were lured to an ambush with the promise of guns and $300 weekly jobs as bodyguards and drivers. These men were said to be members of the Skull Gang, strong supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party. During the wee hours of the morning, these men were set to meet Big Man to seal the deal. The men were picked up by an ambulance at the intersection of High Auburn Road and Port Royal Street in Kingston, then driven to the secluded military base in St. Catherine called Green Bay. When the 10 men arrived, they were escorted out the ambulance by members of the military intelligence unit and told to stay there as another group would have came to speak with them. The military intelligence unit's group then drove off and left the men waiting. Unbeknownst to these 10 unlucky men, a team of JDF snipers headed by Major Ian Robinson were lying in wait. A few moments later, after receiving a signal, they opened fire. 5 men fell dead under the rain of gunfire, and 5 fled into nearby bushes. The Major, Ian Robinson, then took photos of the dead men lying in the field to support their story that they, the JDF, were the ones attacked by these gang members. After the killings, curfews were put in place at the central Kingston community of Southside, where these men resided in hopes of capturing the escapees. The curfews were in place for a while, but the men weren't captured. JDF's official report of the incident stated that these gang members were shot dead because they ambushed the JDF. However, this report did not sit well with the people of Southside because they did protest the killings. An official inquiry and coroner's inquest was later held at the Spanish Town Coroner's Court. The jury found that persons had conspired to kill these men at Green Bay and that people in the JDF were criminally responsible for this massacre. In July 1978, warrants were issued by the Supreme Court to arrest the 10 members of the JDF sniper team. 7 of the 10 were arrested for first-degree capital murder, and the remaining 3 were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Justice, right? I think not. In June and July of 1981, the 3 members were acquitted of the conspiracy charges. On February 8th, 1982, the other 7 were acquitted for the capital murder charge. This was due to insufficient evidence. The Minister of National Security, Dudley Thompson, who assumed the portfolio after the incident, made famous statements saying no angels died at Green Bay. He apologized for this statement years later. He made it clear that this apology was for his words, not his actions. This was not an admission of guilt. He said whoever ordered those killings that day is yet to make their own confession. As for the verdict, the JLP refused it, but nothing was done even after they rose to power on October 30th, 1980. The Edward Seaga-led JLP could not press charges because the accused were already acquitted. The Michael Manley-led PMP claimed ignorance and said that it was solely a military-based operation. But someone had to give the orders, right? One of the 5 men that died that day was aspiring singer Glenroy Richards. He wrote a 1977 song called Wicked Can't Run Away. Unsurprisingly, his song rose to fame after his death. Glenroy was in his late 20s. He had trouble with the law and he was arrested and charged for murder in 1970. The other men were Norman Thompson, a former football player for Santos FC, Trevor Clark, Winston Hamilton, and Martin Hamilton. One of the survivors, Delroy Anthony Griffiths, who is the only survivor still living in Jamaica, told his story to the Jamaican Observer in 2012. Delroy, who was 58 at the time of his interview, recalled the horrors that he faced that still haunt him to this very day. I'll be leaving the link to the interview in my description box as per usual, but here are the highlights. 14 men were initially recruited, but only 10 went because some changed their minds and some overslept. He told his baby's mother that he would have returned soon. He picked his baby up to give him a kiss, but he said, you know, I'll be back soon, so I don't need to. They left to go to the location as previously stated. Winston Hamilton was the first person to get shot before the gunfire started raining down. The 5 survivors all ran off into nearby bushes. There were soldiers posted in these bushes and Delroy was shot at, but he escaped. Delroy ran to a little hill with sea below. He saw some fishermen and after signaling to them for about 20 minutes, he finally got their attention. He jumped into the cold water to get to the boat. They picked him up and rescued him. They took him to Greenwich Farm and then he returned home. He had walked past soldiers that were posted because of the curfew, but apparently they did not notice who he was. He said he simply survived because the night before he was watching a movie called Honor Thy Father, where when the characters were being shot at, they hit the ground and crawled to safety. He gave a statement a few weeks after to the flying squad, and there is when the court proceedings ensued. He's still very much quite shaken about the incidents that took place at Green Bay, but he has forgiven the JDF, and at that time he was seeking compensation or some form of government assistance. I don't have any updates on Delroy, but he did have some form of criminal record along with most of these men that went to Green Bay that day. A film released in 2010 titled Better Must Come depicted some of the events that took place on January 5th, 1978. It is said that this whole incident was started by the party in power at that time, which was the PMP, but it is also rumored that it was started by the JLP to implicate the PMP. No one was held criminally responsible for the Green Bay Massacre. Alright, my love bugs, this is my 2 cents on the matter. Firstly, crime does not pay. As you can see, these 10 men, originally it was supposed to be 14, were just pawns. Whether the person that orchestrated this was the JLP, who they were supporters of, or was the PMP, they were just pawns. Whether it was to send a message, you know, to this day, persons don't even know why what happened at Green Bay happened. Like, there are speculations, there are rumors as to everything. There will always be speculations, there will always be rumors, but nobody knows the real reason. The person that orchestrated this knows the real reason. We don't. We're just simpletons. And this happened way before my time. Back then also, it was the era where the political climate was really bloody. Persons used to take this very seriously. So I'm glad to see that now our generation, we're actually politically fluent. We're not our grandparents where them born in a JLP, them are dead in a JLP, or them born in a PMP. No, we are progressive thinkers, and I am grateful for that. I mean, of course, you still have die-hearted people that push this agenda, saying, okay, if you are of a certain party, you will be of that certain party until you die. There's a whole lot of conspiracy theories out there. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I will not get into that. But as per usual, if you guys have thoughts on this case, feel free to leave it down in my comment section below. I found this very interesting. While I was researching this, I was very curious as to how we did not know about this. How was this not, you know, popular? We do not learn this in schools. We need to know more about these type of things. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. That is it for the video. Of course, my sources will be below in my description box. And until next Monday, remember to be a beautiful, remember to be a beautiful soul, not just a gorgeous face. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye. 7. When I hear that truck there, I this me have to deal with, you know. I this me have to deal with.